Hi guys, my name is Lacey of Spooky Lips and Fat Hips, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited for today's video because this is an anti-haul. If you don't know what an anti-haul is, I believe they were started by Kimberly Clark here on YouTube. I will link her below. I feel like there's like a debate on who truly started them. If I'm miscorrect on that, please correct me so I can credit everyone involved. But as far as I know, Kimberly Clark is the person who started it. What an anti-haul is basically talking shit about makeup, which you know I love to do. Basically what you do is you go through and you list items that you're not going to be buying. You are not going to be hauling them. So in a haul, you talk about all the shit that you just had to have. Anti-haul is all the things that you definitely do not want to have and why. It's basically roasting makeup. The way that Kimberly Clark kind of phrases it is it's like a hyperbolic way to point out why you don't need certain products. So that's why I want to do it, because there are things on my list that I'm considering buying that I know I don't need. So we're just gonna talk some shit, and if I can convince myself that I don't need them, maybe I can convince you that you don't need them. So without further ado, let's get into the roast. So the first things plural that I'm going to be anti-hauling are the new Morphe palettes. That is specifically the 24G, 25C, and 25D. Have you guys seen pictures of these palettes? Am I missing something? First of all, I think it's the 25D that's like all the browns. I don't know, there will be a picture here. Is this a joke? You know how people made those Morphe palette memes where it quite literally is like the same color over and over? Is this a joke? You don't need this. You have these shades. I have these shades. You don't need this. If you already have one of the big Morphe palettes, you have these palettes already. I promise you that. I get that Morphe's trying to rebrand, and I do like their new packaging, and I do like all that stuff. Let's just talk about the 24G for a second. This palette is gigantic. They made the pans larger than our normal 35 pan palettes, and I am so over giant palettes. They don't have room in my collection. I'm running out of space. I don't need it. I will never pan them ever as long as I live. You will have to bury me in a tomb with all of my makeup like a pharaoh, because I'm never going to ever hit pan on anything I own, and especially if I keep buying these gigantic fucking palettes. So if I don't need it, you don't need it. Anti-haul and Morphe for a while. The next thing that I'm going to be anti-hauling, which might be shocking of me to anti-haul, is the Fenty Beauty Mattemoiselle lipsticks. First of all, I'm just going to say I don't really like bullet lipsticks. I don't like stick lipsticks. I much more prefer liquid lipsticks. So that is a huge factor. I do love the shade range in this. But the biggest factor in why I'm not going to be purchasing any of these lipsticks is I went into Sephora and saw them, and they're really tiny and they feel cheap. Of course, their packaging is plastic, so it feels like plastic, but these so even more so than normal. Like, they feel lightweight and they feel tiny and small. I just feel like for the price, which I have my notes, they're $18 a piece. Heck no, I could buy 3 Wet n Wild matte lipsticks or like 6 traditional matte Wet n Wild stick lipsticks for that. I don't need it. I'm sure they're nice, but for me, it's just no-go. Similarly, I'm also going to be anti-hauling the new line of Kat Von D Studded Kiss lipsticks. I know that these aren't new, but the formula's new, and these might have sold me. I love Kat Von D liquid lipsticks. Her liquid lipsticks are one of my favorite formulas ever. So if I was ever going to get really deep into bullet lipsticks, hers might have done it for me. But I watched Jkissa do a swatch video of every color, which praise to her because it looked painful to swatch that many colors on the lips. But they just, for a revamped formula, it didn't look impressive. It looked like she kind of had to drag a lot of colors. Someone looked like they bled a little bit. They didn't look like $19 lipsticks. So for that reason, not going to be buying those either. Sticking with Kat Von D for a second, there's actually 2 more things that I am going to be anti-hauling from her, which kills me because I love Kat Von D so much. But the first thing is I'm going to be anti-hauling the mini metal matte palette. The full-size original metal matte palette is one of my all-time favorite palettes. The second it was available to purchase, I bought it. It was one of those kind of like I need to have it kind of purchases, and I don't regret it. I love it so much. It was one of my first like really all colorful palettes. It's one of the palettes that really got me to step out of my comfort zone with color. That being said, the mini metal palette doesn't give me those same kind of feelings of creativity. It's just kind of boring, And also, those first 3 matte shades look the same, and I imagine that once they're on the eye, they would be completely the same. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews about it. I already have the big one. I already have a bajillion and one neutral palettes. I don't need a Kat Von D version. I'm so sorry about it. Another thing I just don't need, because I have it in millions of different forms, is the Kat Von D and Billie Joe Armstrong collab basket case eyeliner. When this came out, my best friend actually texted me and was like, "Oh my god, do I need to get this?" And I was like, absolutely not. But I think the first thing I said to him was, "Do you have a need for smudgy black eyeliner looks? Because I don't see you doing that." And on top of that, if you have literally any black liner in your collection, you can achieve a grungy, smudgy look. I get it. I'm a Green Day fan, like, so when I saw they were collabing, I was really excited about it. But I just don't need to spend that much on an eyeliner. I get that the point is that you're supposed to do this very specific look that's very reminiscent of like an old Green Day look. It's just not for me. I feel like you can go and buy an Essence eyeliner for like $1. So moving on from Kat Von D, I have some Too Faced products to roast, because what would be an anti-haul without being disappointed in Too Faced? The first thing that I absolutely, without a doubt, do not need from Too Faced is a damn glow job mask. I'm not the biggest fan of peel off masks anyway, but when you add glitter into it, I'm really not a fan. I have fairly sensitive skin. I wouldn't say I have the most sensitive skin, but things like fragrance and stuff and like unnecessary ingredients do tend to irritate my skin. I know a lot of people were concerned about like the product amount because it didn't seem like you got that much. I do think you get more than an ounce. Like, I don't think that's a problem. It's just like, I don't need Jared's glow job. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. I have way better masks for like $4 from Ulta that I would like to use up first before I even think about asking for a glow job. Right after that for me comes the Too Faced White Peach palette. Who asked for this? Who looked at the Peachy Mattes palette, which looks like a beautiful palette? If I didn't already own 801 all matte eyeshadow palettes and warm ones at that, maybe I would think about getting the original Peach Matte palette. But who the hell, after the white chocolate bar palette fiasco, asked for a white peach palette? Have you seen swatches of it? Who the fuck is it gonna work for? This shade of almost translucent, and I don't believe that that palette would work for me, let alone if you're any deeper than me. Who asked for that palette? I don't want it. I'm sure there are a lot of people who think it's appropriate for work or school and they love it. It is not for me. I am a bold eyeshadow queen. I don't need some watered down, calm, going to church eye look. I don't want it. Ironically though, going off of that, I also don't want anything to do with the Too Faced Unicorn collection. Now, you almost got me here, Too Faced. You almost did, because you know I like colorful eyeshadows, so you almost got me. But looking at, and I'm going to see if I can try to put the pictures here. I've never put pictures in my videos before, so we'll see how this goes. Looking at the Unicorn eyeshadow palette specifically, which is what I would be most likely to buy, it looks just like the Clover palette. And I own that, and I'm not really the happiest with that to begin with. So I feel like if you have the Clover palette, you definitely don't need the palette that the Unicorn palette's going to come out. And on top of this, and Angelica said this in her video that I'll link down below. It wasn't an anti-haul, she was talking about new makeup releases. Those stick highlighters kind of look like unicorn penises. And I thought that from the very beginning. And I showed my friends and they agreed with me, and I just will never get my head off of unicorn penises. Maybe that just speaks of who I am as a person, probably. I just think the unicorn thing is played out, and I'm someone who loves glitter and sparkle and color, and I'm saying that it's too much, too late. And especially because if we're going to shade other people for doing unicorn collections and then do our own unicorn collection a year later, Tarte, Too Faced, whatever, I don't need it. It looks like kids' makeup. Not gonna buy it. I'm kind of getting into territory of things that are harder for me to anti-haul. And the first one of that is the new palette from the Balm Meet Matte Schmaker. Which their name game and their packaging game is always on point. I'm going to be honest and say I own every single Meet Matte palette because My boyfriend's name is Matt, and I think it's cute. And I'm going to be an adult and admit that to me, that's why I buy them. They're also really good eyeshadow palettes, so I'm not like mad about it. I do, if I need like a matte that's not in another palette that I'm using, those are palettes that I would always grab for. I do love them. But the Matchmaker palette just looks a little boring, and the Balm always kind of plays it safe with their palettes in my opinion. I feel like if you're someone who's not into my style of makeup and you're into more wearable kinds of makeup, then that would be a nice palette potentially, but for me it's not enough. I wish it was just a little bit more. It just feels like another neutrals palette, and I don't need another neutrals palette. Actually, something that I know I do not need, because I'm the only person on the planet that hates the companion product to this, I am anti-hauling the Stila Glitter and Glow highlighters that either have come out or about to come out. The ones that are like the glittery eyeshadows, but they're making it for a face highlighter. I'm anti-hauling this because I think I'm the only person on earth who does not like the original Stila Glitter and Glow eyeshadows. I want to like them. If my disappointing products video ever made it to YouTube, you would have heard that I tried so hard to like them, but they're so difficult to use because the glitter gets everywhere. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. To me, this product almost doesn't make sense, because the reason why people like the eyeshadow so much is because it's a way to get very impactful glitter very easily. So these are highlighters and you're now removing the glitter, and I just don't get it. Plus, I'm not really a liquid highlighter person anyway, so all of it is just a pass. The colors do look nice though. This next collection that I'm anti-hauling, like I said, it is harder for me to anti-haul because I saw this in Ulta and I wanted it so badly, and me and my best friend were swatching it. I'm going to be anti-hauling the NYX I Love You So Mochi collection. I get that like colorful, ethereal, like alien kind of thing is like NYX's thing, but I kind of wish they could get out of that and do something new. I feel like they have a lot of collections that look like this already. Maybe I'm crazy. I just feel like this isn't horribly original coming from NYX. And I already have so many sparkly, colorful eyeshadows. I already have so many unnatural colored highlighters, and they do look pretty, and I swatched them. They felt wonderful. So if you're interested in them, I would give you the go-ahead to maybe try them, because it's not a quality thing. It's just a concept color thing. I'm just a little over it. This next thing that I'm going to anti-haul, I do want. When I saw it, I was like, shit, I want that. But because of all of the shit that I've talked on this brand, I can't buy it because I don't truly believe in my heart that I will actually like it or not. And that is the Kylie Cosmetics Blue Honey palette. I love the colors of this palette, but fun trick that I've learned to do that I'm going to let you can now have this to use yourself. So the blues obviously and the yellows were exciting. I covered that part up of the picture and the rest of it was just a boring blah palette. I also did that for the Violet Voss hashtag palette, which if you cover up that one row of purples, it is like a boring neutrals palette, but I still bought it anyway. So like fun trick, if there's a color in an eyeshadow palette that you're like, holy shit, I need it for that one color, because I love the teal in the Kylie Cosmetics palette. I love it so much. You almost had me, Kylie. You almost got me back, but I'm not ready to go back. If you just cover up like those one or two fun shades, it really is just like another palette that I know I already have. So anti-hauling that. Again, this is something that I deeply want. So I am putting this in this video to put into the universe that I'm not going to buy this, because I specifically went through my collection, pulling out everything I had from this brand to convince myself that I already had this a million times over. And that is the Urban Decay and Kristen Leanne collection. Specifically, the Kaleidoscope palette, and she came out with a gray liquid lipstick. I want this so bad. I want this so bad, and I'm very worried that I'm going to crack and get this. I can see myself doing that the second I walk into an actual Ulta store and see it. I'm not going to though. I'm breathing it into the air. I'm the secreting it, whatever that means. I'm making it real by saying it. I'm not going to buy this. I'm anti-hauling it. If I already own 801 Urban Decay palettes, because they're all so colorful and they're also fun and they get me every time. Specifically, the ones that I felt were the closest to this palette were the Basquiat palettes. Yeah, I know they're not available anymore, but I do have them, and the shades are too similar to justify having all of the above. Also, I have like 8 other gray liquid lipsticks. I don't need another gray liquid lipstick. If it was like a couple bucks, sure, but it's like a $20 lipstick, I don't need it. Hold me accountable, guys. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I want it, I don't need it. Something that's hard for me to anti-haul, but also extremely easy of me to anti-haul at the same time is the new Anastasia Beverly Hills Soft Glam palette. I love ABH palettes. It's very hard for me to say no to an ABH palette because their formula is incredible. They're so pigmented. I don't find them too difficult to use. I know some people hated Subculture and Prism. A lot of people hated Subculture and Prism, but I loved those palettes. They're so unique and so beautiful. Soft Glam is just, I get why people went bananas over it when they saw the pictures because it is a gorgeous palette, and if you don't already have a lot of neutrals palettes or a lot of things similar to that, I can see that being a staple palette. I can see it being a lot of people's favorite palettes. I have a friend who, when I commented that I didn't like it on my Instagram, she was like, "This is my jam," and I totally get that. For me, I do makeup like this. I'm not interested. No, there's nothing soft about me. I don't even know if there's a lot of things glam about me, but soft definitely not, besides, the body. So it's a bummer. I'm going to be saying no to that one. Interestingly enough, again, I'm going to see if I can put the pictures together. I think if you get the Morphe 24G palette, those colors are so similar to the ABH palette that maybe you can sub one for the other. I don't know. And finally, this should be a given, but I'm anti-hauling the Tarte Shape Tape Foundation, and I have a whole video explaining why. Alright, that was my first anti-haul. I hope it wasn't too long, but I also kind of wanted to have fun with this because it's a fun video. It's hyperbolic, it's not that serious, it's just makeup. If you don't want to buy something, you don't have to go on YouTube and make a whole video explaining why. You can just actively choose not to buy it. But in a land where every single thing is life-changing and you need it and you gotta have it, it's nice to have these videos that tell you, no, you don't need to have it. You probably already have it. Stop. So that's why I wanted to do an anti-haul. This was my spring 2018 anti-haul. I know that there are going to be more coming in, as more things release. So what are you guys going to be anti-hauling? Do you agree with anything that I said? Do you desperately want anything that I anti-hauled? Let me know. I love talking to you guys about it. You guys have been wonderful to me in the comments, and I love talking to you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! I don't know what that outro was.